This is the Houndsman XP Podcast.
Good dog, get that bear. Get that bear in here.
The original podcast for the complete Houndsman.
Look at your toe to go, Justin Hyde. We're gonna get him. We're gonna get him.
The podcast that represents our lifestyle of extreme performance.
Get him there. Get him. Get him. Yeah, good boy. Good boy, Ranger.
Uniting houndsmen across the globe, from east to west, north to south.
You know, if you're going to catch a cat or a lion, you know, you have to have teamwork.
We take you to the wildest places on earth.
Yeah, so how many days a week can you spend out there?
As much as I can, to be honest with you. Anytime that I get, I'm out there.
Join us for every heart-pounding adventure on Houndsman XP.
I'll tell you like I tell everyone else, I'm going to hunt whether you're here or not, so you might as well be here.
In this episode of the Houndsman XP podcast, we're going to kick back and hang out with my friend Charlie Merrifield. Me and Lauren just wanted to have a great fan on the show, and Charlie has been a fan for a long time, and he's reached out to me and talked to me for quite a while. And I thought it'd be fun to just have him on the show. He was on a Tailgate talk, and I really enjoyed talking to him, so I said, hey, let's talk about coon hunting. Let's talk about the Pacific Northwest. And so here he is. I just wanted to give a shout out to all the great fans. You guys are the best. We love producing content for you. Reach out to us anytime. You guys can find me on Messenger. You can find me at my email, seth.houndsmanxp@gmail.com. Reach out to me on the Patreon page. However you want, reach out to me, Lauren, and Chris. We're always around. We'd love to talk to you guys. We love to engage with the fans. I met Charlie in this exact way, and I enjoyed talking to him so much, I decided, hey, come join me on the show. And it could be anybody. So if you're driving along in your vehicle listening to this show and you're like, man, I really want to talk to these guys, reach out to us. We'd love to engage. So without further ado, guys, let's enjoy the episode. Me, Lauren, and Charlie talking about all kinds of fun stuff, having a great time. Enjoy. Hey, Charlie, welcome to the HXP podcast, bud. How's it going?
Oh, it's going good. Thanks for having me on.
Oh, our pleasure. We were working through some recording stuff earlier, everybody, and we got it figured out. We got it figured out.
100% now.
My
Hopefully.
Well, I
morning
hope
is,
so.
yeah, my morning has started off very stressful. I'm dealing with a female in heat right now, and all my males are going insane, and she's like kind of turning into a brooding. I guess I'll use the literal term, but she is becoming like a brooding bitch right now. It's
Yeah, my 1.5-year-old just came out of heat, and we have a little male Chihuahua in the house, and he was all over her. I was like, that's just what I need.
Like, it's
Some little
physically
foxhound
not able
chihuahuas.
to happen, but
I don't know. He tries.
it's able to happen. My friend had English Mastiffs growing up, like where I grew up, and he bred Mastiffs. And as a joke, he held up his Chihuahua to the back of his female English Mastiff, and she had 4 puppies, dude. They were
Oh, man.
so weird. She weighed 117 pounds. Her name was Chumis, and she had 4 of those puppies. They looked like pugs, dude. Some of them were like 30 pounds, others were like 40-ish, but they kind of
funny.
looked like big pugs.
I feel
And they were so
bad
popular.
For her.
Why? That would probably be the best delivery ever. That'd be like,
I don't know. Just like, it's just wrong. It's just so wrong.
that would be like you giving birth to lima beans, dude.
Right.
Maybe it was, I don't know, like a lot of puppies, maybe they were like the same size as they would have been before. I don't know.
No, they were super tiny. I mean, and she had a litter of Mastiffs before, so she's like, probably like, this is so much better.
She's like, what? Oh, here's all the puppies ready to go.
I just want to know, like, how awkward that must have been to like hold your dog up to another dog. Like, I don't know if I could do that.
That's kind of. Why would you want to risk that?
Yeah, or see it. I mean, like, it's not
Yeah, I'd rather
overtly.
just not. I'd just rather let it happen out in the distance.
Yeah, it's not a
happen.
problem to see it, I guess. I just to like feel it because you're holding on to the male.
You
That
are
just I
you
don't
are
know.
the third party in the mix.
Yeah, that's a line I just don't want to cross.
Yeah,
Well, anyway, we do have a guest. Oh,
my
we have a guest. Let's introduce him. Charlie, why don't you introduce yourself, brother?
Oh, yeah, my name's Charlie. I live over in the Pacific Northwest up in Oregon. I haven't been hound hunting real long. 2016, I got my first hound. Like they say, it's kind of addicting. One went to 2 and then 3 and then
Yeah.
Charlie, we're
crazy.
pretty similar then. Like I started
Yeah.
around that time.
Yeah,
So
and like I
we
said,
are-
it started with 1 and here we go.
yeah. I've had quite a few dogs now by this time, and now I want more. So
Yeah. You never have too many, it seems like.
And then you have 60.
Right.
Which
You're
I've
like, "How do
seen
I
many
feed all
times."
these dudes.
That's kind of the question I've always wondered too. You know what I mean? Like when I had one dog, I was able to pour all my resources into that one dog. But now that I have 4, I mean, it's just like, do you want to spend a ton, which is kind of what I'm doing, or do you like, I don't know, like how to cut corners or like, and you kind of find out like, is it fluff or is it real? You know what I mean? So anyway,
Like,
the point I'm trying to
can you
make
get
is,
away with?
yeah.
And
And when I
what-
see
yeah.
guys like 60 dogs, I'm like, wow. And as Charlie, as you get farther along into the hound hunting, you'll realize that you're going to be poorer and poorer and poorer.
Oh, yeah. I just start looking at, we're switching vets right now, and, just the initial exams, almost $100 a piece for the first visits. I'm like, ouch, it's hurting already.
Just for
I
like
wanna
just
find,
to
like,
go into the office, or like with shots and stuff too.
They want to update them all the shots and everything too.
Okay,
So
well then that's
it's not terrible, but
terrible.
trying to
Yeah.
space it out a little bit.
I wish they had vets that were for hound hunters. You know what I mean? Like they understand, like, because this is for pets, and so they don't assume that you're going to be there all the time. But
Right.
and the my vet now, she's like, wow, like coursing, you guys could keep us in business. And I'm like, I wish that wasn't the case.
I know
Yeah.
some people in other states that work for, the old school vets that are still super hound friendly. So I'll call them every once in a while.
That's what I need to find. In southern New Mexico, it's just not as common, I don't think, as it is in other places. But anyway, Charlie, I was going to ask you. Oh, go ahead, Lauren. Go ahead.
No, I was just gonna say, just taking Piper to the vet last week for her bear bite. They're like, yeah, you can bring her back on Wednesday to get her drains out, and I'm just like, psh. Like, no,
Nope.
I'm doing that myself.
How is she doing, Lauren? Holy smokes, a bear bite. Oh,
Yeah, it looked pretty raunchy at first. She's doing really, really good though. It's really hard to like, she is running at full speed, and she shouldn't. It's hard to keep her confined, and
yeah.
I don't put dogs on leashes, okay, guys? Like, I don't put my dogs on the leash, like walking out from a tree. Like, I can just call them off or beep them off. And I'm not trying to, harness 3 dogs and try and walk out of a thick forest. So I hate dogs on leashes. So I'm not trying to like walk around the yard like go potty and have her on a leash. So
I'm the same way, dude. I'm the
yeah.
exact same way.
So
I
she's doing really good though. I took her drains out and everything's looking good. It's not swollen. I think she's gonna be fine in a week when I take her stitches out.
Do you want to tell the story what happened or not?
I think we should talk to Charlie, and we'll get there later if we go there. Maybe he's got a
that's
crazy
true.
story to tell.
I'm sure.
Yeah.
Charlie hangs out with Nicholas, so they probably do some wild stuff. Crazy.
Yeah,
feats.
we've had some interesting days, that's for sure.
What are you
That's what
hunting
makes it
primarily with your
fun.
hounds?
Well, they're supposed to be hunting raccoons, but they seem to like to chase a lot of possums and skunks.
Oh no!
Oh boy.
Problem is like I kind of feel like I'm starting over with my pack because we just had to put down my oldest dog a little over a month ago.
I'm sorry to hear that.
And my 4-year-old, she was my first hound, and I had no clue what I was doing. She got started super late, made a lot of mistakes. So, I mean, she's just now that I've kind of learned after, some other dogs that just kind of let him hunt. And now she's starting to come around a little bit. So it's kind of hard right now, because I've got her, and then I've got my 1.5 year old, and then I've got a 4-month-old. So it's kind of hard to really, on my own, to go out and get on anything really.
Yeah.
Gotta have some
And-
backup.
Yeah, we got to hunt with some good dogs.
That's the
for sure.
key. That is so key to me. I thought I could just I don't know. I had no idea what I was thinking. I thought maybe you could just show your dog enough rabbits and eventually they'd be master coursers. But when I started hunting with my mentors, really skilled and experienced adults, my dogs, they just made light years of improvements in 3 months. And now I understand it's absolutely essential. There's no other way to really have excellent dogs quickly. Instead of you were saying, we all make tons of mistakes. Holy smokes, I did. I'm just lucky that I had met my mentor 3 weeks into having my dogs, and he's like, "You're being dumb right now." And I was like,
at the battery
"Okay."
store, right? That's when you
Yeah.
met him. Yeah.
Yeah, and that was 3 weeks after I got baby Pronto and Calypso. So yeah,
like
it
my
was-
1.5 year-old. I mean, I haven't shown her any in a cage. I haven't done any scent drags, nothing. We've just been hunting her from the time she was 4 months old, and she's already way further ahead than my 4-year-old dog was at that time. I mean, she's
That's awesome.
already starting to strike and starting to tree, and so it's been
Yeah,
good.
I had great aspirations with Ridge. I forgot how I started Piper and how she had Maggie as a pup trainer. So I was trying to start Ridge and be like, he's gonna do it all on his own. This is gonna be fantastic. And he's, and I'm like, nah, I gotta get another dog in the mix here. So he just turned 1 year old, and he's treed some by himself, but he is having a hard time with the whole track thing, and he's been silent on track too, which I don't like. So we'll see, but I want to bring my old dog out of retirement, Maggie, while Piper is really not supposed to be running or doing anything, to come out and hunt and show him what's up.
How old is Maggie, Lauren?
6. I think she's 6.
Oh,
Yeah. So
she's still got lots of track left in her.
I call her old and retired because that's the life she's living. But she could really keep hunting hard.
Mm-hmm. Sure,
So,
sure.
But mom and dad want her, so that's that.
Oh, gotcha. Okay,
Yeah.
I gotcha.
Yeah. Biggest problem with my oldest is, I thought, coons in a cage, that's the way to do it, and then learned, you don't want to do that too much because now she's got to be looking at it to start treeing on it, which can be a good thing at times or at not, because we've had a couple of times where we couldn't find it in the tree and she's treeing on it. It's like, well, it's got to be there.
Mm-hmm.
If she sees it, it has to be there. And then look some more and finally find it. So I mean, it's kind of a blessing, but it's a curse at the same time.
So
You know what I
kind of
learned?
dogs do you have?
So my oldest, Topanga, she is a blue tick walker cross. The next one would be Nyx. She's a July foxhound. And then I've got Ember. She's my 4-month-old purebred blue tick that we just picked up last month. So kind of a different pack.
Yeah. Having a July hound in there for running raccoons. That's.
Yeah, she's fast and she's doing it. I mean, she's starting to tree and she's, she'll get in there and fight one. And I mean, she's doing good. I'm impressed.
Yeah. I just wonder if the other ones will be if she gets tracked down really well, and she's flying on track, if the other ones will be able to keep up with her.
Yeah, I don't know, because she is pretty independent. So I mean, they, blue ticks aren't known for being real speedy. So.
yeah, I know that.
Man, what's the lack of speed? I've never heard of that. But no, I'm just kidding. So my question is, I want to go back to what you were saying earlier, Lauren, about how he doesn't really open well on track. Can you fix that, or is that just kind of how they are?
No, I wouldn't say you can fix it, but I think it's just an immaturity thing and a not having confidence, because the whole rest of his line barks on track, so it should come. Just like right now, he will just bawl on tree, not move into a chop like a lot of dogs do. So Piper would do that when she was a puppy. She would just bawl on the tree, and now she chops. She moves over to a chop. So it's kind of like just a maturity thing, hopefully. I could be wrong, because there are plenty of dogs that are tight mouth on track, is what a lot of people call it. So time will tell, and if he doesn't ever open on track, then if I've got him in a competition, you just have to strike and tree him one after another.
Yeah, I was also thinking about this. You guys were talking about how she was barking up the tree. Your dog Charlie was barking up the tree, and you're like, "There's got to be a coon there. There's got to be a coon there." I was in Texas hunting wild hogs with thermal, and we saw a raccoon in the tree with the thermal, and I tried to find it with my flashlight, and I legit could not see it. And I was like shining up in there with the thermal. I'm like, it's right there. Like, how am I missing it? And then I turned the lights on, and I could not find it. It was like in a big ash tree, and they're hard to see. Like,
they're
really
very good at hiding.
Yeah.
They turn into the tree trunk itself, and they hide their face super well.
Yep.
And that's why I hate hunting in the summer.
Oh yeah, duh, because the leaves are down there. A lot easier to see.
Yeah.
Oh man, I wonder if all the Hounds and XP fans are like, who is this guy? But I promise you, I know what I'm talking about with coursing dogs. Yeah, it blew my mind that just how well they hide. Like, I was like, he's right there. He's like 10 feet above me, and I can't see him. So yeah, that must be frustrating in the summertime. But get a thermal scope. Get one of those thermal monoculars. They're amazing. Like, it's the coolest thing. You feel like Predator out there. That movie with Arnold Schwarzenegger.
Well, I have
It's
one.
amazing.
I have a FLIR, like the lower end ones, not like the couple $1,000 ones. And I was using that when I was training Piper in the winter to like look at den trees and stuff like that. I haven't used it recently at all, but yeah, like 8 minutes in a UKC competition for shine time. You hope that's enough. You cross your fingers and you work really hard to find that coon. Sometimes the time passes and you can't find it. And let's say you're walking out and you look back at the tree line for a second, and then you see the eyeballs, and it's like, crap.
Oh no.
Yeah, it's happened. It has happened.
Yeah,
Oh,
with Go ahead,
you can
Charlie.
you can spend a lot of time looking for one and never find it.
The first time I ever went coon hunting was with the New Mexico Houndsman Association, and the dog treed, and she was going crazy under that tree. And I was like, yes, like, I'm going to get to see one. This is my first time seeing a treed raccoon. And we couldn't find it. And then we found out it went in a hole in a tree, like a den. And I was like, dang it. So I was really bummed. I wanted to see one, like, looking down at me. They're cool.
Yeah, so raccoons are sneaky little buggers, for sure. That's all I got.
Bobcats are the same way. I mean, they'll go up there and lay down, and you'll never see them because they won't look at you. I mean, you really can't get one. At least I haven't ever seen one actually look at you. With
Everyone says they're so tough to put up. Everyone says they're really hard to bay up. So I would love to try hunting them, but if it's starting on the hardest thing, maybe I should start on something a little easier first.
You might need a different kind of dog too. Just saying.
Yeah, it takes a special dog to do that. I mean, I can tell you one of our hunts we went on, we started a bobcat track right at midnight, and it was 10:45 the next morning before we had that thing caught.
Wow.
What?
It took us almost 11 hours with a bunch of hounds, and that thing just ran them all over the countryside.
That is so hardcore.
Were you guys just consistently like switching out, like picking up dogs and dumping new dogs? Okay.
Yeah, we had I think there was one or two dogs that ran the entire thing. Wow. That stayed out the whole time. But
that's amazing.
I mean, we even had a random hunter. His dogs ended up joining up with ours. And so we just kept running them and finally got it. But yeah, it was almost 11 hours. It was crazy.
That's amazing.
That sounds awesome, because like bear hunting is super fun because the bears run, and there's still like a usually a nice cold trail before it gets jumped, and your dogs are working for a while on that bear, depending. I mean, it could be a quick race, it could be a long race, but that sounds fun to I don't know about 11 hours, but
Yeah, problem was, I mean, there's some, it was a good amount of snow. It was super cold that night. So once the sun came up and started warming up the track, they really started pushing it. And
They gain ground quick. Yeah, I was wondering if the melting
caught.
snow, does the slush wash out track, or does that heat on the snow really? And then, like you said, I guess it really helps. I was wondering that. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, the few times I've been out, bobcat hunting in the snow, it seems like that temperature warming up really did help. Really got that scent, because I'm sure it freezes just like everything else does.
Yeah. Yeah. That's cool, man. That's amazing. I've always really admired scent hounds because you guys are like a long race, 11 hours. I'm like, for me, a long race is 5 minutes. That's like an insane long race. 5 minutes would be just like, my buddy's been coursing for 40 years and he's only had like 4 that have gone over 5 minutes and the dogs succeed. And so when I see 11 hours, I'm like, that's also a feat for you guys. Like following them that long. How many miles was it? Do you know?
I don't remember. It was all in one area, so there's a lot of zigzagging around.
Yeah, and cats
the
loop
guy I was
around a
hunting
bunch.
with,
that's crazy cool.
The guy I was hunting with said that most of the time, I think he said that his longest at that time was like 7 hours, so 7 or 8 hours, something like that. I don't remember exactly, but
And then we're over here saying that, and then Brett Vaughn will trail a mountain lion for like 5 days.
Yeah,
that's crazy.
Yep.
I mean, I would love to be able to follow them on mules. If I ever get into scent hounds, I have to have a mule to be able to follow the dogs because I want to see it all. That's the thing. And here in the West, we have such incredible view. I mean, your average view is like 10 miles. So I want to be able to like follow them and watch them and see the whole track. You know what I mean? In the forest, you guys couldn't do that anyway.
I was going to say, up in Wisconsin, like you can barely get a person in there sometimes. So
yeah,
it's the same way over here. I mean, it's so thick over here that a lot of times you can't even hear them.
Wow.
Yeah.
Man, those GPS collars must have changed. I mean, they have changed the game completely, but what a blessing.
Oh, yeah.
Holy smokes. Those things are sweet.
So what's the terrain like where you're normally hunting? You say Pacific Northwest, so I get the thick forest. Are we talking about lots of changes in elevation too?
Oh yeah. Yeah, I typically hunt on the Coast Range. So real, I mean, we're considered a rainforest here, so a lot of blackberries, a lot of, really thick trees, thick ferns, a lot of elevation changes. I mean, it's pretty thick country over here.
I just Googled it, and it's like Jurassic Park.
Yeah, it looks different than Wisconsin forests, thicker in a different way.
Yeah, I mean, a lot more ground cover, I think, probably than.
Yeah, it's like so bushy on the ground. Yeah, all my brush is also like that. It's like low, minus all those trees, minus all that humidity, and minus all that green.
Right.
So totally
add more
different.
Spikes.
Totally different. Yeah.
Add more spikes and more poison and more snakes.
Hard pass.
And having waterproof gear is good because it's always wet in the forest over here. It doesn't matter.
So like for me, if I'm going in the woods and we get into a spot and I'm like, oh, this is the worst. Like it's either like thick briar or like slashing type tree, like bushes that you can't get through. Like what's the worst out there for you?
Probably the blackberries.
Yeah.
Depending on where you're at. I mean, Nicholas will tell you if you ever talk to him when we met at a UKC hunt. I mean, we're walking through stuff that's 5 feet over your head. I mean, it's
oh my gosh, that's
crazy.
Horrible. That is like some Jurassic Park plants.
So
that's what briar-proof,
briar-proof clothing is very helpful.
Yeah.
Do you guys have the blueberry? Oh, do you guys have those blueberries, like invasive blueberry patches?
We grow a lot of blueberries around here.
Okay.
I haven't seen real many like out in the wild.
I thought they were a problem somewhere over there. There's like blueberries that are like really spiky. Some kind of invasive berry of some kind that are like really have terrible thorns on them. But
buckthorn?
Yeah.
It's not a blueberry.
No, I thought it was
like something edible.
We have salmon berries, which are similar to a blackberry. They're just bigger. So that might be what you're thinking.
Oh yeah, blackberries. Yeah, there you go. Yeah.
Blackberries.
Yeah.
Yep.
Okay, yeah. Oh yeah, blackberry. That's it. Yep. Rubus ursinus. There you go. Yeah. Oh, it looks terrible, but delicious. Apparently the
Yeah.
turkey population's gone way up because of them.
Yeah.
So good
Yeah.
news for our turkey hunters. Do you hunt other things?
I haven't the last year or so. But deer, elk. Try to get turkey when I can, but it's hard because a lot of them are on private land, and people around here don't really want to let you hunt on their land. So
Yeah,
it's
welcome
hard
to the
find.
West.
Yeah, it's crazy.
It's too much money to be made. That's the problem.
Yeah. I don't know. I've kind of gotten to the point where I'm kind of enjoying the hounds more than, spending a ton of money to maybe see something.
Yeah, I agree. I gave up big game hunting almost completely when I got into hound hunting. It's just, I don't know. It's like you said, it's super addicting. And it is. It's so fun. I mean, it's just Anyway, I have a deer hunt in December. I'm very excited for it, but I'm 10 times more excited for hound hunting when it rolls around in October. And I guess my luck this year, September. That was pretty sweet. I got to get out there. I posted some pictures there, but anyway.
And really around here, depending on what you're running with the dogs, you can run really all year.
Yeah, that was my next question. Like, okay, so you really got into the hounds and you're hunting all these hounds, and I was just wondering, like, how much time or how much out of the year are you able to do it?
Well, like I said, I mean, depending on what so raccoon season, we have pursuit season and then our kill season. Pursuit season runs from September 1st to March 15th, and then the kill season's November 15th to March 15th. So for them, I mean, you got a good length of time. Coyote, you can run all year. The non-game animals. So I mean, if you want to run possum and rabbit, then, all those kind of things you can. I typically only end up getting out about once a weekend. I just, don't have a lot of time to get out. Yeah, I mean, I'd love to be able to get out every night, but.
Do you have to go far?
Yeah. I don't have to go too far. No, we got a couple of farms that we have actually permission to hunt that we can, he's like, come out whenever you want, because blueberry patch and then a hazelnut field, so he wants all the coons gone.
Yeah,
so
but you kind of want to save some of them too for training.
Yeah, so we don't usually, if we take one out, we'll, leave a couple in the tree if there's more than one. Let them. Hopefully he's not listening to this because he wants them all gone. So
eventually they'll all be gone.
Yeah, eventually.
Yeah.
Eventually.
So my question is, like, what can a coon hunter do to maximize coon habitat, to maximize coon numbers? Because I'm obsessed with jackrabbits, prairie jackrabbits in particular. So I'm doing everything I can to make sure that habitat is like adequate and beneficial for a prairie jackrabbit, increasing low shrub cover, but not too much, making sure that the forb growth is good, nice, good grass shoots, basically like working to protect areas that are ideal for coursing. But like, what does a coon like, and what can you do to like maximize an area for coons, especially if you're trying to do hunting, like you're trying to hunt them?
I mean, I'm not sure, because like raccoons are so adaptable that they can live really anywhere, but they also need a food source. So it all depends on like around here, like the food source that's available. So whether it's like a mass crop season for acorns, if the corn is in, what rotation, are there berries around? I don't know, a little river where they can get clams. I don't think there's really a whole lot that like at least that I can do to like help the population besides just good management when you're hunting.
Yeah,
not shoot everyone you see.
Right.
I mean, really.
Right.
That's the awesome thing about your guys' pursuit, is that you can do that. When I catch a hare, it's over. You know what I mean? It's not going to be able to come back.
Right. We can choose to shoot it or not.
Yeah. One night we probably treed 15. I mean, we took like 4, but just really depends. I mean, just not shoot them all,
Or, have a bunch of spots. And if like one year you do need to take a bunch out, let's say it's for a farmer or whatever, don't hunt it the next year.
Yep. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. If in New Mexico, this is illegal, but in Texas, it's like standard practice. But if I had a lot of land in Texas and I was a coon hunter there, I would have corn feeders out because every single corn feeder I went to, there was like 3 raccoons underneath it eating while we were looking for pigs.
Oh, for sure.
I couldn't. It was so crazy. There's so many of them.
They'll eat anything too. I mean,
yeah. I've seen like trail cam pictures of raccoons riding on the backs of feral hogs. And I was like, I'm not even making this up.
It's
Go
that one on
Google it.
Facebook where it's like, why is the media not reporting that raccoons are breaking wild hogs to go to war against the possums? Is that the one you're talking about?
Well, I don't know. I didn't see it captured or anything, but I saw that. And then the next picture I saw was this big old boar hog like eating a raccoon. And I was like, oh, I guess that one's riding class ended early.
right.
Those wild hogs are so crazy. We came up on one and it was eating something, and we were like, I don't know what it's eating. Like I could tell it was eating an animal of some kind. As we came up on it, we killed it, and I approached it. It was eating a dead skunk.
Ew.
Yeah.
I'm like, man, that animal's amazing. Like, I know that's a weird response, but I mean, those things are so adaptable and voracious. Eating a rotten skunk, it's just like, oh. And he was just like, no problem. Arf, arf, arf. Just like, delicious, you know?
Yeah. Unfortunately, my dogs like skunks so much, I've kind of gotten used to the smell.
Do they like eating them, or do they like rolling in them?
They just like, they don't even necessarily like to kill them. They just like to chase them and bark at them. So just enough to get sprayed and then come running back to us.
I don't know what's better, like skunk or porcupine.
I think I'd take skunk.
Yeah. Knock on wood, I have not had an encounter with either one of those in my vast years.
Right. Yeah. Yeah, we have porcupines here, but I luckily haven't, knock on wood, have not.
Yeah, I mean, I've seen them.
Encounter.
I've seen the porcupines, and obviously I've seen skunks, but maybe my dogs are smart. Maybe they're just
give it
lucky.
time.
I know, right?
Give it time.
Just wait till the first one.
Yeah.
I'm so lucky. We don't have skunks or porcupines. The one animal that all coursers hate is antelope, pronghorn. Because your dogs will see a pronghorn and they see that white butt going away in the distance.
Oh, yeah.
And those dogs just see movement, they're gone. You know what I mean? And nothing will ruin your day faster than a pronghorn race, because they are not catching those pronghorn. My 2 accidentally took off after a pronghorn, and I swear that buck was just toying with them. Like, he was staying right ahead of them. Those greyhounds are blasting with everything they've got, and he just stayed right ahead of them until the greyhound started slowing down, and he started slowing down. Then that pronghorn was just like flaring his butt and just kind of jumping around, and then he left the country. And I was like, I hate it. I hate it. I hate it. Most coursers hate antelope, and I'm like, that's just a part of it, I guess, but it does suck. But we don't have anything spiky, stinky, or dangerous. Good, thankfully.
Well, that's good.
Yeah, and I feel all bad for any of the houndsmen that have to turn out in a place where their dogs can get killed by a wolf or like stabbed by porcupines. That's scary.
So I just posted something today on Facebook, and it's not crazy news to me because I knew they were around here because I've heard them, and I've heard they're around the marsh. But just down the road from me, 15 miles or so, maybe less. There was a wolf killed on the road, a timber wolf, a male timber wolf.
Yeah.
And
wow.
The DNR says this is a outside of known wolf territory, and the DNR will deny all the time that there's no wolves around here. But there are. And now I'm like, it's one thing I got to deal with them, up where I'm hunting bear. And now I'm like, okay, now I got to worry about them when I'm raccoon hunting. Because I've got permission over by the marsh and all that now too. And it's just sucks.
Yeah, we have a lot in eastern Oregon here. Same thing. State says, oh, they're not on the west side of the state. Well, I've got trail camera pictures of them on, this side, and I've seen them. They're not nearly as many, but they're here. So it's just a little nerve-wracking every time you turn those dogs loose because you just don't know.
Yeah, I've always wondered if there's anything you can do to protect your dogs, like put armor on them, or I don't know. Like that's something I've never had to think about or worry about, because where I hunt, it's essentially just jackrabbits and antelope. Like there's nothing else there, and you can see everything. It's a prairie.
Yeah, I mean, I wouldn't want to put any, like hog dogs where they're cut vests and all that.
Right.
I think my dogs would just get too hot, and you don't know what they're going to get stuck on with those vests and the territory they're in. And I mean, I run bells on my dogs up north, big cowbells. But there's really nothing you can do besides try and know where you're hunting and fresh tracks and stuff like that. And
get into the tree as quick as you can.
Yeah, that's another thing. Yeah.
You know, they talk about in wildlife school, a big way to sample for species that are kind of cryptid or like unknown is to go check roads, because things get hit by cars all the time. I mean, mountain lions aren't really on the East Coast that much, but when they leave the Black Hills of South Dakota and they kind of venture out into the eastern side of the United States, inevitably they always get hit by a car. And I'm like, there's, you know, the data is really hard because mountain lions are really hard to find without dogs. But like, you know, at any given time, there's less than 100 mountain lions on the East Coast, and almost all of them end up dead on some highway somewhere. And so that's a great way to like be like, what's in the area? Well, if you find a roadkill wolf, I mean, it could be a transient male, but either way, it's crazy how much things die underneath a car's tires. And then I say at that, why hasn't Bigfoot been hit by a car yet? And you're in the hot spot for Bigfoot country, Charlie. You're in the Pacific Northwest, dude.
Yeah.
Is Bigfoot real or not?
I don't know. I'd like to think so, you know, just because that'd be kind of cool if there's this animal out there that nobody ever sees. But I don't know. With all the trail cameras and all the people out in the woods and, you know, I don't know.
Man, you got to get a Bigfoot hound. You got to train your dog to trail some big stinky creature, and then you'll probably end up just treeing a hippie.
It is illegal in the state of Oregon to shoot a Bigfoot. So
are you serious?
Put that out there. Yeah.
What?
I think it's one of those like really old things that, yeah, it's kind of crazy. It's like, how do you put a law on something that
you can't prove is there?
You don't even know if it exists. Yeah.
Wait, is that like in your proclamation or something? Is that like a written rule?
I don't remember where I heard that or saw that. I mean,
oh my god,
it could be urban legend thing, you know, but I mean,
I gotta find that.
Or just
all right,
like
after
these
this
crazy,
episode.
outdated laws that are in so many different states.
Oh, yeah.
Like it could be just.
It wouldn't surprise me.
Oh yeah.
It really wouldn't surprise me.
And we've always talked about that because I worked for a salvage crew for years when I was an undergrad in college, and like we just spent so much time like out in really remote areas, and we always talked about like if you turn the corner and a Bigfoot was standing right there and we're armed, would you shoot it? And I'm like, well, yeah, of course I would, like for science, you know what I mean? Like I gotta collect a body. Well, I guess I'm going to jail if I shoot one in Oregon, but it's fine. I'll take my jail time. If imagine you're in prison, death roll, Lauren,
you could claim
and you're like.
Yeah.
No, that's your prison name. If you're in prison and someone's like, "What are you in for, dude?" and you're like, "Yeah, I shot Bigfoot," they'd be like, "It's no big deal. Like that's cool, man. You're gonna get respect at the table."
Right. You get sure here. You can have my extra cornbread.
Right.
Yeah, I mean, you're not like a murderer. I mean, technically you are, but dude, you shot Bigfoot. Like that's the coolest thing ever to be in prison for. Like,
I
anyway.
have to say, like, if I saw it and I was armed, yeah, I'd shoot it. For
definitely.
Sure.
What do you?
Like,
What
no
would you, Charlie? Even though it's illegal.
Sure.
Poor Bigfoot. Yeah.
I mean, just to say, I mean, see, I'd want to have him mounted though. And I don't know how many taxidermists would want to.
Like, where's the? Yeah, you know, you'd have to make your own.
Where's
form
the form
for
a Bigfoot? I mean.
Yeah.
You'd have to stuff it with pine needles or something.
I feel like it would be pretty easy to get him stuff because, you know, like worldwide scientific organizations would be coming. But I think we're being pretty rosy. I'm going to say 99.9999% sure there is no such thing as Bigfoot. From a wildlife professional, there is no such thing as Bigfoot. No tracks. People, you should hear the like people that deny Bigfoot's existence. They say that like he knows what trail cameras are and he'll walk behind them and things. I'm like, come on, people don't know what trail cameras are.
Cams sometimes.
Yeah,
like,
exactly.
Yeah.
You're
we
hunting
catch
and you're
so
like,
many people.
What? And then you see the red light and you're like, oh shoot. Even though you have permission to be on that land, you're like, whoa, like.
Yeah. We have trail cameras all over where I work, like hundreds of them. And even though it's 170,000 acre experimental range, you still are always looking over your shoulder being like, am I on camera right now? Like, yeah. And that's
like,
the worst feeling when you see that red.
To the bathroom in the woods. Like,
oh, that's every day.
Yeah. Is a trail cam watching you?
I've gotten to the point now where I'm just like, if you're looking at that trail camera and you see some dude squatting on that thumbnail and you click on it, you're messed up, not me. Like,
right.
You're the freak, not me. Like, yeah. let me
That's awesome.
Charlie, are you running coons and bobcats mostly, right?
Well, coons. My dogs aren't anywhere near bobcat dogs right now, but I do go with people that have good bobcat dogs.
I like to ask this to every guest, and you're new, so I think it's even more interesting in a way. But what do you like in a good coon dog right now for your country?
Man, honestly, I don't know. I'm still so new to it. I haven't really had a really, really good one.
You haven't had that perfect one that you're like comparing everything to.
I mean, I hunt with some guys that have good dogs. I mean, really, if the dog will run the track and tree, I'm happy. I mean, I don't, my dogs are our family too. So I mean, even like my oldest. I mean, she's. A lot of guys would have sent her on her way a long time ago, if they had her, but, she'll stick around. We do a lot of, rigging off the box. So, I mean, a dog that'll actually strike off the box would be great.
And then you'll be able to trust what it's rigging on too.
Right, exactly.
Like,
the dog
is
you can
it a
trust.
deer or is it a raccoon?
Yep, exactly. Something that's what, my dog we had to put down. She was, probably an average dog. I mean, she wouldn't strike off the box, but I know if she was running a track or she was treeing, it was something that I could trust her. It was something that she was supposed to be running.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Trust is a big thing. Once you know your dog enough to trust what it's doing, and then for me at the same time too, like it was really funny when I was bear hunting a couple weeks ago. It's like, oh, Piper's coming up. It popped up treat, and I'm like, just wait a minute. Just wait a minute. That GPS is lying to you. Like, you know what your dog's doing.
Yep, exactly. Like with them right now, like, well, I will say with my oldest, if she's actually barking on the track, she's either about biting its tail, or it's a super, super hot track. I mean, I can trust her when she does, because she doesn't do it unless, there is something there. And then, obviously, the puppies, I mean, they'll still chase anything. I mean, I don't trust them for nothing right now.
No, they're 4 months old. They're babies. Like that's when I would just first start even like showing them a raccoon or anything.
Oh yeah, she comes out with us now. I mean, I don't expect her to do anything. Obviously, I mean, she's 4 months old. I mean, she doesn't know. She's just getting her used to being out in the dark and out in the woods. And like I said, my other one's not quite a year and a half. So I mean, they're both just puppies. I mean, they don't know.
When does a coon dog really hit its prime, you would say?
3-4 years old.
Yeah, so I was kind of guessing.
Yeah. Well, yeah, that's when it starts being like super, super duper good. I mean, Piper was really good last year, and she was only a year and a half, 2 years old. She was, I really like the way she worked last year. We'll see how this year goes. But she's turning 3 in the beginning of November. So I'm just really excited.
That'll be sweet. Yeah, a good coursing dog starts to reach their prime at around 2. And they're usually getting age out around 5, 6 maybe. Yeah.
And then how long what's their life expectancy?
Oh, man. I mean,
like
10
12?
to 14.
Really? Okay.
Yeah.
So they have a serious retirement.
Yeah, they do. That's the big downside. And that's why I want to move towards Salukis. They have a much smaller retirement. Okay. So we had a little bit of a technical difficulty there. Charlie dropped out there for a second. Did you have roughhousing dogs that knocked over your internet, Charlie?
Yes, that is exactly what happened. Speaking of puppies, they decided to, pull the cord out of the wall, and then my internet went out, so that was always fun.
Yeah, we were talking, and then all of a sudden I just saw you go gray, and I was like, oh, no. No problem.
Mine chewed an extension cord, and I was cleaning my room, and I pulled the extension cord up, and all of a sudden, a big fireball / whatever, electric.
Yeah.
And I was like, dropped it, and I was like, oh gosh! And I was like, what do I do to put out an electrical fire? There was no fire. It had stopped, and I unplugged the thing. And
pour water on it.
Right? Yeah, pour water.
Then I, threw the cord out. And then later that day, fire started in my cast iron pan. And it it was
Oh,
in
boy.
the kitchen, and I'm like, wait, you're not supposed to pour water if there's oil. And I'm like, how do I put this out? I just took the pan outside.
That's what you're supposed to do. That's the right thing.
Yep. Yeah.
To finish that question, Lauren, Salukis have a slower retirement time because they typically can just hunt a lot longer because they typically get injured a lot less than greyhounds.
Okay.
And so
They
they
just
all
have, like,
live a
a
long time.
hardcore body.
Yeah, they're just better
Yeah.
built.
Okay.
Well, for my desert especially, they're just way better built. Greyhounds are very fragile compared to Salukis, and so that's why I'm switching over to Salukis. I will sacrifice some speed for soundness, like David Heiss said in our last episode. He's taught me a lot, and that's one thing that I've come to realize, that you really don't need blazing speed if you have the open prairies, which we do.
Mhm.
If you have enough distance, they can really just grind a hare down, and that's how Salukis hunt. They pace themselves a lot better. And usually when they start to see the animal weakening, they turn it up, but they'll just grind one down for like 2.5 minutes. And remember, when they have a 2-minute mile, a Saluki race can be almost 3 miles. It's incredible. Imagine running 40 miles an
Right.
hour for 3 miles straight.
And aren't they?
Yeah,
They
that's insane.
can. I don't know what the term is. Like corner, they can box in the jackrabbit
Yeah,
better
they're
than
way better.
greyhounds. Like greyhounds tend to like overshoot or something if the rabbit
Correct.
turns.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah.
They're so much better at just staying behind an animal and just pacing it, instead of just blasting after it with explosive power. So they're just, I mean, I'm speaking from just experience of seeing other people's really good Salukis, and they're just better. I
We can
mean,
only
from
hope
what I like.
Strider is the same.
So far, he's been impressing the
Yeah.
heck out of me. So he actually has a pretty good nose on him. He trailed a cottontail like a dang hound the other day, and I was pretty impressed. I was trying to get it on film for you guys, but he went over the hill and was out of sight. But it was pretty cool watching him. He ground down that track and took off. I saw the cottontail go over the hill, and then he was running by that area and slammed on the brakes and then put his nose down and just started working a little pattern, and there he goes right behind it. It was pretty cool.
Mine cannot figure out the cottontails around here. They're around here and they're sniffing back and forth, but they never can work it out. And I always see the rabbit, and then I'm like, all right, guys, you totally missed it. Like, they're like, we just want
I
the
wonder if
older,
you-
stinkier stuff.
Right.
I wonder if you could, I mean, the terrain is similar in the West Coast, Charlie, that it is in the East. I bet you could do beagles for rabbits there, couldn't you?
Oh yeah, there's a lot of guys that run beagles over here. Actually, my old dog that we had put down, she was a Stevens Cur.
Okay.
So if you're not familiar with them, they kind of look like a little mini black lab, I think.
Huh.
They're usually 30, 35 pounds. But she would catch rabbits all the time.
Wow.
The little cottontails. It was just pretty cool.
She
liked the rabbits.
Yeah, I'm
that's
thinking,
pretty
what am I
cool.
doing wasting my time with all this speed if a beagle can catch one? Just kidding.
Well, Kirk can
Right.
catch
Little
one.
difference there.
Yeah. The beagles don't usually catch.
Yeah, good point. A cur.
But,
Cur,
I mean, yeah. But you need a beagle around here just because the blackberries usually are so thick. A big hound isn't gonna be able to get through them like they can.
Yeah, I really want to go beagling. It's the other kind of rabbit hunting for me. You know what I
Right.
mean? It's the
Yeah.
exact opposite. Where you hunt with beagles, you cannot hunt with sighthounds, and vice versa.
No, yeah, no way.
And so I really want to experience that. I need to go. I want HXP Nation, listen up. I want to talk to some beagle hunters, and I want to go beagle hunting. Reach out.
Yeah.
I want to
Same
check that
here.
out big time.
Well, yeah.
I want to try.
Well, come on over here. I know lots of guys that have really good beagles, and we can definitely get you out beagle.
only
hunting.
When
thing I would
COVID
be
ends,
worried
I'm going to start
about-
traveling.
The only
Yeah.
thing I would be worried about is like accidentally shooting a dog. Like, how far out does the
Yeah,
rabbit?
that can happen.
Like, how far out does the rabbit go?
I mean, it can happen.
Ugh.
I mean, they're usually a pretty good distance ahead of them, but I mean, it gets close
Yeah.
sometimes. You got to be really careful.
Really? I thought the rabbit would be way ahead of the beagles.
No, the cottontails, they don't seem to, from what I've seen. I mean, I'm not a beagle hunter, so they don't seem to run that fast. They just make a big loop. So they kind of come back to where they started usually, from what I've seen.
Gotcha. Yeah, it's just so different than the rules I'm used to. And that's why I want to experience it. Literally the exact opposite. Because a hare, it just gets up and just leaves the zip code at extreme speed.
Right.
And they have predetermined little trails they run on. You can actually see their very gentle little trails, like through the prairie. But a good speed dog can get them off those trails, and it really puts the advantage in the dog's favor. But yeah, to just think of one as just running a circle is kind of weird, because a jackrabbit will get up, and you look where the rabbit got up on Onyx that trails our buggy when we follow him, and you're like, dude, we just went 1.5 miles, or like 1.75 miles, and it's just crazy. It was like, oh, that was 3.5 minutes ago. So it's pretty cool. I just want to experience it. And
yeah, and you could
I think it'd be really fun.
Get a rabbit on, the same 1/4 acre, and it would, be around running a loop.
Oh yeah. Yep.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's my least favorite thing about sighthound hunting is you need massive tracts of land to make it work. I mean massive. Like you cannot do it if your prairie is less than 2 miles by 2 miles. So
live in the right
it sounds
area,
like
Seth.
it's true. It's true.
Yeah, for
I
sure.
definitely do. It could be better, but everything could be better. We have a lot of public land, but not a lot of prairie. And places that have a lot of prairie don't have a lot of public land. So I got to drive for it, but at least it's public. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Yeah.
You guys have a lot of public land up there in the Northwest, don't you, Charlie?
Yeah, I mean it's a pretty good amount. There's a lot of logging company land. A lot of that, a lot of landlocked public land
hate
too,
that.
unfortunately.
Like what's the
that
point
makes
of
things
it,
difficult, but
wildlife habitat, but
Yeah,
if people can't use it.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean,
it's done intentionally.
Just, one of those things.
Yep.
I think it is.
Oh,
too.
it definitely is.
I mean,
Yeah. People. There was the Sabinoso Wilderness here in New Mexico was landlocked by ranches, and backcountry hunters and anglers and Senator Martin Heinrich were like instrumental in opening that up to the public. And there were sections of that where like there was only one section deep of private ranch stopping access to the public land. So it's like 1 mile deep.
Mhm.
That's it. I mean, it's intentionally bought up so that people can the people that own the areas around it can block people from going inside there. Like it's obvious. It's like your own private park, basically.
There's a spot that is along the river here that's probably 10 minutes away from me. That's, it's not a huge strip of, state land, but it's enough I could coon hunt on. But to get to it, you either got to float the river in a boat or cross somebody's driveway. So literally, that 10 foot across their driveway, and it's private, so you can't cross it. Like it's just,
man, that's happened to us.
Cross their driveway.
There's people that buy like strips of land. No, go ahead, Lauren.
That you wish there were actual easements written into, whatever agreements, but
right. Yeah.
There's like strips of land that are bought up by people along the Rio Grande, and I was hunting deer, and there was an 8-foot wide section of private land. So I climbed up on the fence and just jumped over it and onto the public.
Yep.
And I was like, you know what? And when I came back, I just walked across it. I was like, if someone's gonna battle me out for 8 feet of private land before I get over this fence, I'll just deal with it. I'll go to prison for shooting. No, it wasn't posted.
Oh, well,
I'll go to prison for shooting a Bigfoot and crossing 8 feet of private land. You know what I mean?
Right.
Yeah, you had 2
Whatever.
footsteps in the 8 feet.
Yeah, I mean, it was enough for a skinny white boy to jump over it. You know what I mean? Like,
right.
But anyway, yeah, that's always been a battle. And like, I don't know. I've hunted on private land, of course. And now I'm not saying everyone that has private landowners is trying to box out public hunters. It's a catch-22 because like I own a pretty good section of, I own 5 acres and right up to a road, and people throw their trash right there as they're going onto the trailhead by my house. And it's so infuriating.
Yep.
So I get it. I get why people wouldn't want the public on their land. But what upsets me is when you block the public from being on the public land. That's when I get mad.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
Right. Yeah.
But
so
anyway,
you've done
Yeah,
UKC hunts, right,
Go ahead,
Charlie?
Lauren.
I've done
So
one.
you've been out to.
So I mean, yeah. I don't know. Not really
Yeah.
my thing.
I was just wondering
mean,
if they take you on.
Yeah, I get people that really enjoy it.
Yeah, I was just wondering if they take you on public or private, where you went. Okay.
Both. The one that
Okay.
we do. We have some private land that they'll let us go out on. And we actually do that. That hunt is actually a different club than I belong to that puts that on. And that's actually, one of them is, they do it as a benefit hunt for Dornbecker's Children's Hospital.
Oh, sweet.
Cool.
I want to say that one's in like November. So a lot of the proceeds from that will go that's really the only one I'll hunt, just because I'm not really into
The titles and
the cutthroatness of the competition world. Yeah, I mean, I just want my dogs to go out and hunt. So, but I'll go do that just because money's going to a good
Sure.
cause. So.
That's great. Talk about a great image booster for us too. That's phenomenal.
Is there a decent
Let
turnout
me
to
add-
that one? Oh,
Not really. I mean, that's what they've really been struggling to try to keep, little tiny town in
just
Oregon.
like any club.
I mean,
we're all struggling.
yeah, I mean, it's hard to get turnout.
What club do you belong to, Charlie?
The one I belong to, it's called Fern Ridge Treehound Club. Been around. Actually, just found out because I was trying to do some research on when the club started. Apparently, been around since the early '70s. So been around a long time. Just kind of your normal club stuff, really. I mean, field trials. We got one coming up in October. We've started to get back into doing like youth coon hunts. We'll either just take them out on a normal hunt or we'll do it competition style, basically follow like UKC rules. Kids can pick somebody's dog. We'll take them out hunting, give them a little trophy, make them hot dogs and hamburgers, just have a,
Also excellent. I love that.
Right. Just because, you don't see a lot of kids out doing it anymore.
Definitely
so
not.
It's good to
Yeah,
try
I think
to...
Wisconsin has been pretty good at keeping the youth involved, and we've got a UKC Badger State Youth Hunt, and there's an award that all the kids can try and go for every year that's presented at the Wisconsin Coon Hunters Association banquet. And they win like a gun and a cool jacket and some other stuff. So, it's good to do that.
Yeah. And every year we try to do since 2016, we started doing vet hunts. So take a Purple Heart vets out on a week-long bobcat hunt. We'd actually partnered with another organization that had done that. The only thing we kind of started getting into was we were limited to Purple Heart vets. And we kind of wanted to open up to, just any, heroes basically. So your first responders, your, military vets, that kind of thing. So we actually started our own organization, our own nonprofit called Houndsmen for Heroes. So last year was our first bobcat hunt with that organization. So now we're trying to, just trying to raise, funds to be able to do the hunts, because our long-term goal is basically to kind of like some of the bigger, nationwide groups, be able to help the smaller clubs. Say, a club on the East Coast wants to put on a hunt for their local firefighters or whatever, and they don't have the funds to be able to do it. We want to be able to do that for them. Be able to say, you know what, you tell us when and where, we'll get the guys there, we'll pay for it. You take them out.
That's awesome.
That's kind of our, the long-term goal, is to be able to have the funds and the means to be able to do that. Because the few vet hunts I've been out on, those guys are so appreciative of what we've done for them. And, it's kind of a humbling thing. Like, man, what they've done for us,
Right. What we can do.
They're
pales in comparison.
so appreciative. Yeah, it's like, and we have a pretty good video that got put together kind of promoting the club, and like they said, it's like, if we can cook you a meal and take you out hunting for a few days, and that's what you're so appreciative of, we'll do it all the time.
Definitely.
Anytime we can.
I mean, that's exactly how Freedom Hunters is too. I mean, it's just organizations that are helping people get out that wouldn't have that opportunity otherwise. I think, man, I just can't get behind it enough. That's great.
Yeah, I mean, that 11-hour hunt that I was talking about, that was actually with that other organization that we were part of, and that particular vet had never even been out hunting.
Wow. And then
his first experience of any kind of hunting was a week in the snow, and
time to get hardcore.
Sitting in a truck on the I mean,
dang.
Yeah, it was pretty cool.
That's awesome. You know what? I've had a lot of experiences like that. Not with vets, but like where I take people out for the first time and something crazy happens and they're like, this is so like intense and crazy. I'm like, I promise it's not like this all the time. Like,
yeah, it's not like this all the time, but I mean,
yeah.
And we want to be able to, get them with local community members that are hunters, you know, if they want to keep going at it, you know, I mean.
Definitely.
So,
Retention.
yeah, I mean, yeah, I mean, anything we can do to help. I mean, you know, they've all done so much for us. You know,
I really like you guys are getting the youth involved too. That's great.
Yeah.
I mean,
really, you don't get the youth involved, the sport's gonna die.
Totally. My nephew, I take him hunting with me all the time. A, he loves it, and B, he tells his friends about it. And I mean, they're 9, but they're like, they don't even know you can hunt with dogs. They just think they're what sits on your couch and like you have to clean up its poop in the backyard. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, we got 2 little neighbor boys that had never been hunting, and I took them coon hunting last year once, and we actually got one, which was cool, so they could see the hole, you know. And I've actually got a picture of him holding looks like he's hugging a teddy bear almost, of him holding the raccoon. It's pretty funny.
Do the coon come holding into prime by you? Because it gets snowy and stuff.
Yeah, I mean, they do. Yeah, you can definitely tell one in the summer from when you catch in the winter. That's for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah, it doesn't even get that cold here, but the difference.
That raccoon.
Oh yeah, that's just funny that he's hugging it just like a little teddy bear. I was surprised.
And then he got fleas and ringworm.
Oh yeah, no. Now they're always asking, when are we going hunting again? When are we going hunting again? It's like, well, let me get my pack in order to where they're actually doing something before we.
That's like here in New Mexico, everyone's like, "Hey, I got a bird dog," and you're like, "Okay," and you get super excited and you go hunting with them, and really all it is their pet that they yell at the entire time. And so now I've learned, like, when someone says they have a bird dog, I'm like, all right, let's see how that goes. And I've yet.
Well, that's why if I take anybody with us, I don't promise anything.
That's smart. That's smart.
Yeah.
I'm like, it could be a lot of walking around or driving around and doing nothing. So just be prepared.
Lay the expectations out right away. Like, okay, this is how it's going to go. Here's how it might go, but.
I've done the exact opposite before, and I learned my lesson quick, Charlie. So you're smart. I've been like, my dogs are beasts. Like, trust me, we're going to get a rabbit up and they're going to smoke him. You know what I mean? And then we get out there and get outrun, or we walk 5 hours and don't get a rabbit up. And so now I do exactly what you do, Charlie. I'm like, yeah, okay. So if this happens, it's really crazy and fun and exciting, but we could also just be walking for like 5 hours before a rabbit comes up. So I'm just going to warn you.
Right. Or not ever see anything.
It's hunting. And so I don't know where the jackrabbits are. I just know they're here in this 10,000 acre field somewhere. But we just got to go find them.
Right.
That's the funny thing when I like tell people about like the UKC competition hunts. They think that we're like turning raccoons loose, and we know that there's raccoons there that we just like put out, and the dogs have to just find them. And I'm like, no, like these are just wild raccoons.
No, they're wild still.
You don't even know if you're in a spot where there's raccoons at that particular hour-long window or whatever. I'm like, it's completely random. It's not like you're putting pheasants out and you know that you put 20 pheasants out or something.
There's a sight hound competition hunt here in New Mexico that's pretty famous, and it's like people from all over the nation come to it. It's called the Dutch Salmon Pack Hunt. Dutch Salmon was like a really influential outdoor writer, and he was a really big courser. But anyway, you have an hour to find a hare, and that's the most nerve-wracking part of the hunt, in my opinion, because they are really hard to find. And it's so nerve-wracking when you're just like.
So how does the competition work? Like, you find a hare or you don't?
Yeah, so you have 1 hour to find a hare, get it up, course it, and if your dogs catch it, you stay in. If your dogs don't, you're out. And so it's an elimination contest. So it is super high stakes. I mean, jackrabbits are really hard to catch. And so they're also really, really hard to find. So like first you got to find one, which is stressful because if you don't find one within an hour, you're out.
Can you use like a flush dog or anything, or is it just you and the dog?
You got to, so it's supposed to mimic how you hunt. And so no one's used a flush dog in the past, but maybe you could find that in the rules. But Dutch Salmon was all about hunting. And he was all about like, there are coursing competitions that are very structured and they have more of like a UKC style rule book. But Dutch Salmon wasn't a big fan of those kinds of rules. He just wanted dogs that work together as a team to get their prey caught. He wanted to mimic real hunting as much as possible. And so maybe you could get that written into the rules, but no, most people just walk until a rabbit gets up. That's how 99% of sight hound hunters hunt. You just walk and let your dogs kind of mill around and look for them. The
Sure.
hounds are looking for them, but they're not grinding tracks out like your guys' dogs are. They're just kind of scanning and sniffing and waiting for one to bolt.
Like maybe
And
we'll spook
yeah.
one.
Yeah, spook
Yeah.
one. It's all flushing. Yep.
Yeah.
They just flush one up out of the grass and off they go. And so, you know, we've cut it super close. One year it took us like 30 minutes to find one. And it was just nail biting the whole time. Like, come on, rabbit, where are you? You know?
Talk about
And that's how it is.
close. That's
Oh, yeah.
pretty
I mean,
nerve-wracking.
Yeah, I mean, 30 minutes
minutes,
doesn't
I
seem
mean,
like a long time.
but it
Yeah,
goes
you
fast.
still had 30 minutes to go, but when you can sometimes find them a lot quicker, and sometimes, I mean, we've driven what 9 hours to find one before, almost
Holy
9 hours.
cow.
Yeah,
That's
that was the
dedication.
worst. And then,
Yeah, for
yeah,
sure.
yeah. Can you imagine? Like, we were just literally, we walked for almost 5 hours. It was like 4-ish hours. And then we're like, dude, we're so tired. Let's get in the vehicle and just start putting along. And so then we started putting along for like another 4 hours until finally we got one up. And guess what? We got outrun. Oh, worst day ever. Like,
Yeah.
yeah. Of
Yeah.
course we get up like a steroids rabbit and he outruns us so quick.
That's why that rabbit's
Suck.
still around.
Yes, exactly. That's what we said.
Yeah, like he is the ultimate that should keep breeding, I guess.
My mentor was
Natural
like, look
selection
carefully
right
out there. Yeah, he was like, look carefully. You can see him doing push-ups right now. Like,
Right. That one's been run before.
probably what was even crazier, he came up like 3 inches in front of one of our hounds. Like literally he almost came up, like the dog's chin was almost past the rabbit and it was close to his feet when it shot up underneath him and took off and still
That's
outran
crazy.
him, which was amazing. It was a pretty badass rabbit. But
That's
anyway,
awesome.
yeah. I want to know, either one of you can answer this, but have you ever had a coon race where you're like, what a badass coon?
I mean, you want to think that they're super smart and super tricky and can evade them. I mean, around here, Andrea and I call him the Jefferson County Super Coon. There's not one that like super sticks out in my head.
Yeah, not me either. I mean, I know we've caught some mean ones, you know, as far as that, but not necessarily super, super tricky. The big thing they like to do here is hit the rivers and swim the rivers.
Really?
Or the creeks.
Huh.
So, and that can get a little hairy sometimes when, you know, in the winter and,
Oh, yeah.
you know, the rivers. I mean, I was walking across the river in probably end of February. You know, there's still snow on the ground, and lost my footing and, you know, fell in the river and filled up my hip waders, and, you know, it's like 30 degrees outside.
Oh.
So that was a lot of fun. It's like, well, I'm wet now. Might as well go get the dogs.
There's
Oh, man.
definitely bear races though that I'm like, that's a good bear, where you get outrun and you are like, how did the dogs lose this bear? Like, or how did the bear lose these dogs? Because
Yeah, seriously.
based on their
Like,
barking
how do
and
they lose
stuff,
them?
just some like crazy, disgusting territory.
That's crazy. Yeah,
Yeah.
that's cool though.
Bobcats are pretty notorious for that. I still think that one we chased for 11 hours, it had been run probably a bunch of times, and it knew how to trick them up. I mean,
What
they're
did it
smart.
do? Like, I want to know. Like, what do you do to trick up the hounds?
Well, you can jump from tree
A
to
lot of,
tree,
like-
right? Yeah.
Yep. They'll run up the tree and then jump back down and run back down their own tracks.
Oh, crazy.
Yeah, seen that a few times. You know, bobcats especially are really smart with that. I mean, you know, they don't get old for no
Definitely.
reason.
That's any animal. I mean, we ran a gray-faced rabbit once, and the moves that he was putting down on those dogs, we were like, what a beast. What a beast. It's pretty cool.
You know, I look at it too. It's like, I mean, you know, somebody comes to your house and is chasing you around your house. I mean, you're going to know how to evade them better than they'll know how to
True.
find you. I
Yeah.
mean, you're in their territory. I mean, they know where to go and what they can do.
I've always wondered like how a bear loses the dogs if they're hot on his trail, but yeah, I guess I never thought about it. They
Well-
just get to some really rough stuff and the dogs have a trouble following them through it.
Yeah, and I mean, if you think about raccoons too, they've got predators out there. There's the coyotes out there, so
Oh,
they
sure,
they
sure.
get practice not just from our dogs running them. So
Oh, definitely,
yeah,
definitely. Yeah, I was just curious how they evade hounds, especially like a coon. And here's another thing: if they catch him on the ground, have you ever seen like a coon back the dogs down, where like there's just no way they're gonna
Oh, yeah.
engage him? He's just too gnarly.
well, and coons will drown a dog in water too.
Oh yeah.
What?
Yeah,
Yep, absolutely.
How?
Yeah, they get up on their head. They ball up on their head and then they drown them.
Whoa.
yeah, they're like gnarly little critters. So whenever I know my dogs
They're
are
vicious.
like in by the river or pond or whatever, I try and get there as fast as I can, just in
Mhm.
case, same as why I get to a tree as fast as I can when I'm in wolf country. It's because you don't know what's going to happen, because anything can happen. So,
That's
yeah,
crazy. How does it
raccoons
not
are
drown the coon if it drowns the dog? He just keeps his head above while he holds onto their head?
I
I
mean,
guess, yeah.
imagine
You just-
having
it's
20 pounds on your head as a dog,
Yeah, that's true.
that weighs
That's
40,
true.
50
Half your body
pounds.
weight.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's pretty crazy. I did not know that. It's funny. I'm a host of this show and I'm learning so much. I love it. That's why I wanted you on the show, Lauren.
Yeah, I always tell people when we first take them out, especially raccoon hunting, it's like, just gonna warn you, if we get one on the ground or we shoot one out and it doesn't come out, we try to make sure they come out, stone dead, but it's gonna get wild. Like, you need to be ready for
They're
it.
gnarly little teddy bears.
Yeah, they're not nice, that's for sure.
So
And my oldest dog, it's funny, she doesn't tree real well unless she sees it, but if one hits the ground, I can say, I kind of call her my catch dog, like a hog dog. She'll be the first one in there,
subdue him.
wanting to fight it. Yeah, it's the funniest thing.
That's crazy. Yeah, I gotta go ahead, Lauren.
If that happens, like, I will typically, like, Piper, she bays them up. She's very methodical, which is why I thought she'd be smarter on bear and not get bit. But she will pretty much bay it up, and she'll be very methodical if she's trying to go in for like a little snap and grab. So if one does come out and it's still a little bit wild, I can usually call her off of it, and I run in there and I get a shot and I kill it fully right away. And that's what I like, because I just I've got enough vet bills.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, but she got bit on the butt by the bear, so it's just that she didn't get away quick enough. But you still want a dog that's going to stick on a caught bear. So it wasn't necessarily like a bad thing that it happened, So
hopefully she learned a lesson. Hopefully he learned a lesson. They learned a lesson.
That's what I was hoping. So we'll find out.
That's man, yeah. I also want to go I want to go hunting everything. Like I said, when COVID's up, I want to travel a lot. And I want to go places that I'm totally not used to. Because like bear hunting here in New Mexico, I've been all over the New Mexico woods. I want to go somewhere where it's like totally different. Where it's like you're saying, where you have to crawl on your hands and knees through the thickets and stuff, which I did a little bit for coon hunting.
It's not really fun though.
Some nights, not so much.
I mean, you feel super accomplished by the end of it, but like when it's happening, you were like super mad and super frustrated, and like it's like nature is just beating you down.
There's been a couple of times you'll be rigging the dogs on the box and they strike, and you kind of look at the terrain you're in. It's like, I think we're just gonna move on. I really don't want to go in there.
Oh wow,
I'm not feeling it tonight. Like, I'm just not.
Yeah, that's crazy.
Yeah,
yeah.
You're like, oh, I hope Lauren, they don't go over on this side of the road or take it that way.
And then that's where they go.
Yeah, the clumps of bushes are like the big problem. A hare knows that if it gets into the heavier brush, it's going to escape from the dogs. And there'll be a clump of brush like 2 miles away. And you're like, it's fine. It's far away. We'll be okay. As long as the jackrabbit doesn't run that way. As soon as they get up, what do? They're going straight for it. And you're like, come on, dogs. Like, get them turned. Get them away from that. So it's the worst. I sort of know what you're talking about, but I'm going to be honest. I don't, because I don't live in a place that's like Jurassic Park overgrown. The plants here are like water. You know what I mean? Like, so.
There was a night out hunting with Nicholas that, looking back at now, we shouldn't have turned loose where we did. It's kind of a mistake. But dogs went running, and his dog went across the river after a coon. And, we get over to the river, and there's a probably 10, 15-foot waterfall right there. And she's on the other side. So, I go upstream a little bit to try to get her to come across where it's safe. Well, she doesn't. She goes right at the top of the waterfall, and all I see is her little head go over the top of the waterfall. Nicholas was down on the other side, and he's like, "Oh yeah, she's fine." I'm like, "Hey, she's going over." Like, she ended up being fine, but it could have, she'd have got hung up in there or something. I mean, it could have been a real bad situation real fast. I mean, we got lucky.
Wow.
We got lucky that time.
Yeah, I don't hunt by any waterfalls.
Well, we didn't even really realize it was there. I mean, the stream was running pretty hard, and then we get over there, I was like, "Oh, this isn't good."
My first question is, what is water?
There you go.
You see a lot of that. You see a lot of that if you come over
I was just
here.
looking. You guys get between 100 and 150 inches of rain a year.
Yep.
Yeah, how much we get?
Yeah, it rains
Guess how much we get on average a year?
3 inches.
No idea. Definitely not that much.
8.
Okay.
Yeah, that's crazy.
Yeah. 3 is like, oh yeah, this year we've only gotten 8.4. So it's been a pretty dry, horrible year. Certain areas get more on average, but my particular area only gets 8 a year on average.
Well, yeah, you look at our average rainfall, and then we're having one of the worst wildfires ever recorded now. So it's kind of crazy.
Oh yeah, those wildfires right now are. Tell us about them. How are they still right now? Like as of this recording on 9/26/2020, how bad is it?
Well, we can actually go outside and breathe now without the smoke. So I mean, that's we've been getting some good rain. The fire that's closest to us, I was just reading this morning, I think they said it was like 52% contained.
Yikes.
And it's not growing anymore. So it's really, but whole towns. I mean, we've lost whole towns in that area.
Oh man,
just gone. I mean, it's crazy.
Hope people are safe. At least I hope people evacuated.
Oh yeah, they I haven't heard a real like death count or anything, which I kind of try not to because it's really depressing.
Sure.
But a lot of people got evacuated ahead of time. I mean, it started far enough out that.
Do you know how many acres burned?
Oh heck, I don't know. I could probably look it up real quick.
That Northern Complex fire in California is insane. It is just like apocalyptic.
Yeah, I mean, so the one that's closest to us, it's the Beachy Creek fire, 192,838 acres.
Oh my gosh, that is so much.
So it's massive. Yeah, it's big.
At least.
And there's a couple smaller ones right next to it where they were starting to kind of merge together. So it's really, the number's probably bigger.
Of like, I don't know. I just think of the wildlife that's been either displaced or killed. And
the displacement is crazy. Yeah, the bears that get displaced by those fires, they get really hungry and they're searching for new territories and stuff. There was there's always big fires in New Mexico, but there was one several years ago called the Little Bear Fire, and I was working in the adjacent forest next to that forest that burned. We saw so many skinny bears that year. They're just desperate for food. One of them actually jumped in the back of our truck. We didn't even think that was possible because, we were just being naive, but it jumped in the back of our truck and was started trying getting into our ice chest while we were in the truck playing Uno. And the whole truck rocked. And I was like, something just jumped in the back of our truck. And I turned around and shined my headlamp and there's just 2 sets of eyes looking right at me through the back window. And I was like, that's a bear. Yeah. And I was like, hey, and I just started beating on the seats and it just took off, but it didn't leave. It just came back and kind of hovered around our camp because it smelt our food. Oh yeah, and it looked terrible too. It was so skinny. I mean, it was a little bear. It wasn't very big, but still, man, I felt so bad for that poor thing. But I mean, that's the thing. The displacement is crazy. It's pretty intense. And when it's that,
yeah, I haven't gotten to get up there yet to kind of check out the damage. I heard a story because there's a reservoir up there with a dam on it, and I guess the dam operator hunkered down in the dam during the fire to keep the keep the dam operational and try to make sure nothing happens to that. I was like, man, that's some dedication.
Yeah.
Oh man.
Kind of like the captain,
hide in a concrete box during the
captain of a ship.
Exactly.
I'm going down with the ship. But he wasn't going to go down because he's in a concrete box, but still.
Yeah. Did he make it? I mean, I'm sure he did.
Oh, yeah.
That's so much insulation, but still, dang, that is some hardcore dedication.
But that could have gotten much worse. I mean, if something would have happened with that dam and all those gates come open or something, I mean that
Oh yeah.
that'd have been a whole new problem.
Yeah, no thanks. I'm glad I live in a place where wildfires really can't happen. It's just too much dirt. So
Yeah,
it's
there's
too
not enough
sandy. The
fuel.
bushes are too. Yeah, and it's too. Everything's too spread out. So like where I live in, the dominant terrain type is called coppice dunes, where like a mesquite grows up and then dirt collects at its base, and over time the mesquite gets growing and it keeps collecting more and more sand. So you get these like, they look like little tiny miniature mountains, but everywhere, like spaced between like 5 to 20 meters apart from each other. And so what's really cool is the kind of mesquite we have here, they can turn their stems into roots. So as they're getting buried, their stems become roots, and they just keep growing more stems to get ahead of the sand dune collecting or at their base. It's pretty crazy. When you come here, Lauren, I'll show you. I'll take you out to some of those sand dunes that are like 30 feet tall, and they have one single mesquite.
Yeah.
Yeah, and if you remove the sand dunes, it's really cool because the dunes are really full of oryx too. So as you're like walking through those dunes, you can just come around the corner and there'll just be an oryx staring at you. And obviously both of you like are startled. But if you remove, they've done experiments where they've removed all that sand from those mesquites, and they just look like a giant like mulberry tree or something buried in that sand dune, completely fossilized in that sand dune. Well, not fossilized, but they're like buried in there. It's really cool. And they're super tall. Some of them, not all of them, but it's pretty cool stuff. But they're like a symptom of a unhealthy desert because they form in areas that are really eroded and where they've lost their fertile topsoil.
Yeah,
so they're not really a good thing.
Collecting.
Yep.
Okay.
They're a really cool place to camp in though, because they're really a pretty desolate habitat. And so when you can just like dig a couch into the sand dunes, it's really soft. It's like a really fine sand. You can just like, we just dig these little couches in there and light a campfire, and you don't have to worry about like creepy crawlies getting on you or anything really, because it's so like open and sandy. But anyway, I digress. It's a neat habitat. It is kind of a cool habitat. It has foxes in it, and kit foxes can go their entire life without drinking a drop of water, and they get most of their fluid from their prey's blood, which is super heavy metal if you ask me.
Right. Yeah, that's intense.
I think that's
you're just like
than like the rabbit not drinking any water.
I disagree, because at least you like look at a little rat or a scorpion or something and you're like, it's made of juicy goodness. But like if you just eat grass, it's not as juicy as like a rat's body,
right?
In my opinion. But like at the same time, a kit fox has to catch those rats, so he's expending a lot more energy to get that fluid and nutrition than a rat is, or a rabbit that just like hops up and nibbles on some grass. But they're incredible.
Like a fox is so much bigger, like for it to not have water just is.
Well, don't forget though, a kit fox is only 4 pounds fully grown.
Okay, didn't know that.
They're little tiny guys. Yeah, they kind of look like a greyhound fox. They're like really skinny and they have long legs, but they're tiny. They're like the size of a small cat.
Okay.
And so they're incredibly they're incredibly arid adapted, and they're incredibly efficient at like not dying in the desert. They're super cool. Number one enemy is coyotes. So no coyotes. Anyway, I digress. I like cool animals, as you guys can tell.
No, we like hearing about it. Like I haven't even heard of a kit fox, so I thought it was like a baby fox.
We're supposed to have them around here. I've never seen one. You know, I've seen gray and red fox, but I've never seen an actual kit.
Yeah, they're like an arid environment specialist, and they are really sensitive. So if kits and reds, if reds are moving in, they typically start to outcompete the kit foxes, because their main defense is to just live in areas that are horrible, that no one else can survive in.
Right.
So the recent studies show that the reason their population's in steep decline across the West is because coyotes have expanded their ranges massively. So as agriculture,
everywhere, yes.
So as coyotes have been able to take advantage of agricultural setups, i.e. artificial waters, they've been able to expand their ranges into places that was typically only the domain of the kit fox because it was so arid and so rugged. But when you put a well out there for your cattle, the coyotes can just move right in. And then a coyote can only go 3 days without water. A kit fox can go its entire life without water. But if there's artificial water around, the coyotes spread in there and start eating the kit foxes, and their populations kind of plummet, which is a big bummer.
Right.
But they are cool, and they are still kind of holding on here in southern New Mexico, because there still are areas like the White Sands Missile Range that isn't developed at all. And so there's still tons of kit foxes out there on the white dunes. So you'll have like trail camera pictures of a fox running by on these like super beautiful white dunes. It's pretty cool.
Right. That's
Anyway,
cool.
Now you talk
do you
about,
red fox hunt?
Yeah, I was gonna ask about foxes, because gray fox will go up a tree, right?
Oh yeah, totally. They can climb.
Yep.
Yep. They have pretty adapted claws for climbing. And they actually, I believe they have supinating wrists. So like the ability for your wrist to turn and face your face, basically.
Mm-hmm.
Like dogs can't do that. A lot of mammals cannot do that, but I'm pretty sure gray foxes can turn their wrists inward so they can climb trees a lot better than a normal canid can. But I'm not 100% on that. Pretty sure. Anyway.
Yeah, I've never hunted a fox. I got a friend of mine that lives down southern Oregon. That's all he hunts. That's like primarily what they hunt is fox, and
They're
he says it's pretty fun.
are they like hard to tree? Are they like a bobcat, I wonder?
That's what he said. Yeah, he said they'll run hard. I mean they're tough to put up too, because I guess they don't leave a lot of scent either. So it's a little bit harder for them to.
Gray foxes are so cool. They live a lot in cities here. There's the most of them you'll find are like in urban areas here. And I just think, oh yeah. There's just a bountiful amount of habitat for them in an urban setting, and they're small, so they can live in like your drains. You know what I mean? And so they're just a master of it.
The raccoon of, like kind of like a
exactly
city raccoon, but they're a fox.
Yeah, we don't have a lot of raccoons here. We do along the river, like along the Rio Grande Valley, and there definitely are coons here, but we have way more gray foxes. And so tons of people post pictures of like gray foxes chilling out on their walls and messing with their dogs and scurrying around on your roof. And yeah, they're super cool. I'd prefer to have foxes than coons, just because foxes can't like open up your garbage cans and stuff like coons can.
Yeah,
and they are
and
just better.
Can control like other animals like mice and rats that you don't want, because they're like a predator, and raccoons are more opportunistic eaters.
Yeah, I was gonna say a gray fox isn't gonna go for Doritos in the garbage can like a raccoon is.
Right.
So
yeah,
they're neat.
I've got to trap some raccoons here pretty soon.
Is the irony that you have all those raccoons in the city and you can't do anything about it, really? I wonder if that bothers coon hunters a lot.
It bothered me so much when I was living in the city, like so much, because there was a raccoon family that made my oak tree its little party station, and I was like, okay, legally I can't shoot a gun, but there's plenty of other bad people shooting guns in this city that get away with it. But I'm like, I'm not going to shoot my gun. So I'm like, okay, well, what if I got a bow and arrow and shot it there? And then I'm like,
that's what I was going to say.
What if it gets stuck up in that tree? Like, I can't get up there. So there was nothing I could do. I just let my dogs tree them, and then we go inside.
Yeah, there's been a couple of nights coming home from a hunt and didn't see anything, and let the dogs out in the backyard and look up in the tree, and there's a couple eyeballs staring at you. It's like, seriously, I could have just stayed home.
They talked. Yeah. They had their telephone chained, and like, we're just gonna send Bobby and Tom up the tree, and they can just spite the dogs. They know they got skunked that night.
Yeah, so what happens if they tree one in your backyard and your neighbors have to listen to that for like 5 hours while you're out having beers with your friend? You know what I mean? I've always wondered that.
Yeah. Well, fortunately, my neighbors, the mom used to coon hunt when she was a kid, so she's totally cool with the dogs and doesn't care if they're barking in the backyard. But mine live in the house, so I mean they're only outside, if they're getting rambunctious or bathroom breaks or something like that. So, and we try to keep them. It's the squirrels more than anything. They really like the squirrels.
I would love to squirrel hunt too with dogs. I don't know if you guys can tell, but I want to do a lot of different hunting with dogs.
Like you're gonna have to start making a list to be like to prioritize what you're gonna check off, or else you're seriously all over the place, Seth. Like,
yeah, it's so true. Like time off is always tough, but man, I just want to experience so much stuff. There's so much variety out there.
Right. What I've found so interesting is how every species you chase is so different from the other ones. Different types of dogs, different. I mean, it's just crazy. Different type. Like a good coyote dog might not make a good bobcat dog, or You know, like
Mhm.
like we've talked about, Seth. You know, your dog's coming over here trying to chase rabbits, or my dog's coming over there. I mean, they wouldn't stand a
Yeah.
chance. I
I
mean,
think that also speaks amazingly to the versatility and variety of dogs. Like how incredible of selective breeding we have, that we have a blue tick hound
yeah,
and a Saluki and a Chihuahua. You know what I mean? Like it's
right.
incredible how we've taken a wolf and molded it into this super specific animal to do a very specific job very well. And also, you
Right.
can take that same breed and have 10 different training methods from different people, and dogs adapt to every
Yep.
one of those. They
Sure.
really are such an amazing
Well,
animal.
even the same litter, like you could take dogs from the same litter and turn one into, you know, a good bobcat dog and the other one into a bear dog, and you try and switch them over, and it just, I don't know, wouldn't work. Or
They just
yeah.
can't do it.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Yeah. I have two litter mates here, and although they both run in a very similar way, they're shaped even a little differently. My female's got way more of a classic greyhound build, and her brother's got more of kind of like a, I mean, he's definitely a hair dog, but he's got more of like a coyote dog's build. He's like real big and powerful. And yeah, I just think it's amazing how adaptable and versatile, yet how specialized dogs are. It's just amazing. You can hunt the same species with a totally different breed of dog that's shaped totally differently. And like when we were talking to Scott Allen, he's talking about how they hunt with those like midget basset hounds, those like petite
Yeah.
griffons. You know what I mean? And I'm like, they're hunting deer the same way you would drive a deer in the South, the American Southeast, but they're just using a totally different dog because it works better for their terrain. They want a dog that's slower, so you have more time to push it out and from these tiny little patches
Well,
of forest.
and how they still have like sight hounds or lurchers in the tiny little blocks that they hunt. Like if
Yeah,
in those little fields lined with like hedges or rocks or whatever.
right.
And you're like, yeah, I need like, you know, at least 2 square miles or 5 square miles. And they're like, yeah, this is, you know, like not even a hectare, whatever.
Yeah, it is. It's true. And I mean, it's just because the prey and the difference of terrain. I mean, we need all this space because a jackrabbit is just this super duper running machine. I mean, a deer is fast and agile, but it's not like a hare. They're just so different. And also, you know, they're running across those paddocks or those agricultural setups where it's a lot more open, and the dogs have a not an advantage, but it's just easier for the dogs to stay sighted. A lot of times the hare will get into big grass and the dogs have to try to figure out where he went and get back on him. Even if he's got like a 500-yard lead on him, they have to get back on him and grind him down. It's an endeavor on all fronts for every dog. And yeah, I think it's amazing. I love it all. And I don't have enough time or money to see it all, I don't think. Maybe time. Maybe time.
I mean, it's the same thing with, you know, any species of animals from different areas. When you look at the dry ground lion hunters compared to up in the snow like Montana or up here, I mean, it's a whole different thing.
I got to spend more time with Brett. I'm going to get with him this winter and hunt with him. I got to ride his mule. When's the last time you rode a horse, Lauren?
Not too long ago. I don't know, maybe within a year.
What about
I
you,
don't know.
Charlie? When's the last time you rode a horse?
Oh, years.
I
Were you
really
I
enjoy
can't
riding
even remember,
horses.
honestly. I mean,
Were you comfortable, Lauren? Like, did you do it a lot, or did you
Oh,
do you do it occasionally?
I do it occasionally, but I'm super comfortable. Like horses have
Okay, yeah.
never scared me, and I just like I'm just super comfortable, and I'm like, well, whatever happens, happens. That's kind of have been my my mantra my whole life.
Yeah, I
Uh,
used to ride a lot more when I was very young, like in my early teens, but I haven't ridden in like 15 years, man. And so I got to get back on with Brett, but he's going to put me on his oldest, laziest mule. So that's what I want.
yeah, that's probably a good
I just
idea.
want a mobile couch that I can just like watch the dogs and putt along.
and just have your bag of
Yeah.
snacks ready.
My wife worked at a stable for a while, and she always described horses as giant cats, and I really like that. Like, I think that's pretty accurate.
Interesting.
Easily spooked, kind of
Yeah.
temperamental,
Yeah.
but obviously a little bit more gregarious. But yeah, anyway, do you have any pet cats, Charlie?
We do one. We have one outside actually, and my newest puppy is quite fond of the cat. Likes to, you know, go out and bay at her on the ground, and that's kind of funny. And the cat's not having it.
I think cats are cool. Pet cats are cool. I don't have any cats because I would only own a cat for the fraction of a time it took my greyhounds to catch it.
Yeah.
But like,
Right.
I think they're cool. I had a cat for like 17 years before I got into hound hunting, and dude, they're cool. The thing I don't like about them is they're spiteful. You know what I mean?
Yes, they are.
You feed them and they're just like, go away. And you're like, oh, you're supposed to love me.
I've
But,
never been
yeah.
a super huge fan of
That's right.
cats. I mean, sure, they're cool, but it's more like, okay, I've been allergic to them my whole life. So, and like, there's only like one cool cat for, 15 other cats.
I agree. That's very
And
true.
yeah.
But
And I know, well, my dog's at Piper, I know, has been inside with a cat. And when she's inside with one, it's really not a big deal. But when the cat's outside, it's a different story, and that cat is dead.
Yeah, I was gonna say bad kitties become outside kitties.
Yeah, and then outside kitties become dead kitties. So
Well, I mean, coyotes got to eat too.
yeah,
That's how I feel about it.
we had to when I moved in here at the farm, there was a bunch of feral cats, and they got taken care of pretty quick. Whether the dogs,
I gotta
ran them
ask
off
Lauren.
or- Go ahead.
How's your chicken?
Chicken's doing great.
Good.
What do we
Good.
call her? Staples.
Yes,
Staples
Stapes.
doing- Yeah, Staples the chicken.
That's good.
She's doing real good. She's still got like a little bit of a barely a gimp that you can see when she walks, but everything's good. And the flock accepted her back in after a little bit of time. Like they hated her at first, so she had a hard time between healing and getting pecked at. But
You need to make a chicken like novella, like a chicken soap
yeah.
opera, Lauren.
I knew what you meant by novella. So
I know you did, but I
Yeah.
had to clarify it for people that don't know Spanish stuff. But
Yeah.
yeah, like a
This
novella is
morning
like
on
a
Chicken Chronicles.
and the first thing would start with a wing slap to the face. You'd be like, click, click, like
Yeah, or like
there's
the
always
rooster
high
coming at you
drama.
like
Exactly. No, I'm sorry, Charlie. The novellas are just like bad Spanish soap operas, and so
It's,
basically, I don't know what it is.
acting and just like the craziest
Yeah.
scenarios.
Like ridiculous forced drama. Anyway, you need to make a chicken novella, Lauren. Definitely.
All right.
Well, I'll say you're a better person than I am. We'd have probably had dinner. if
That's
that
what I
happened
said.
to
Don't
us.
feel bad.
So, I mean,
I know.
She's like took her chicken to the vet.
Yeah, well, I considered culling.
yeah, I heard about it.
Yeah, I
heard that one.
considered culling right away, but I just was like, I just tried, and she could have gotten away with not even going to the vet. So whatever, that was a waste of $45.
You're a good person. Well, at least it's only $45. I mean, I was
Yeah.
expecting it to be a lot more than that.
No, yeah, it was $45 for her to get seen and get a shot of calcium or antibiotics. I don't know what he gave her, and then to get the pain meds and the antibiotics.
Pain meds for a chicken.
Yeah,
That's
she
the
didn't.
first.
She didn't
That's
get
a
many
new one.
doses of that. I decided she's tough enough.
You're tough, Staples. You're
Yeah.
tough.
Right.
Yeah. That would be part of the novella. She would get addicted to pain pills.
Oh no. Oh my gosh.
So-
Yeah, you'll have to write the script for that.
All right. You leave it to me. I'll even make like a jingle and everything.
Sounds good.
Just kidding. I don't have
Oh,
that much
man.
time. Do you have chickens, Charlie?
No, there's no way we could. I mean, we live in the city for one, and my dogs would kill them.
Yeah, that's my problem.
They would not last. There's no way.
Well, if you
Lauren,
keep
you gotta have-
in like I should have done, then you'd have no problem. But when you
But I love having yard birds. I like them out to like hunt scorpions and stuff.
I love being able to let my chickens out when the dogs are kenneled up, and because then
Definitely.
they have fun, and then I think maybe you get like better nutrition in the eggs.
They eat so many ticks. Like when I was a kid, we had really bad ticks on our dogs, and then we got chickens and we broke them of bothering them pretty easily. And then the chickens would go around. They'd be under the porch. They'd just cruise around. We never had ticks on our dogs ever again. Once the chickens are out free for about a couple months, they devour everything. This is actually my last chicken interjection, I promise. But my friend my friend hates centipedes, dude, like phobically hates them. and he saw his chicken eat a centipede, and from that moment on he never ate eggs ever again from those chickens, because
No.
he was like, I will never eat a centipede made egg. And I was like,
Oh my.
what?
That's
Okay.
weird.
That's weird.
I laughed so hard, dude. He's like, I'll never eat an egg that has the DNA of a centipede in it. Like, that's just so
That's
disgusting.
not how it works, though. Like the
I
DNA does not
know.
cross over.
He totally knows that, but still, he just hates them so much.
Does he not realize how many he's probably already?
Well, yeah, that's what I said. I was like, dude, what else do they eat? And he's like, I don't care. I saw the centipede. That was enough for me. And I was laughing so hard, dude.
All you need
He's
in your yard,
hilarious.
I guess, is like a family of possums and some chickens, and then you'll just be bugless and tickless. Because
Yeah, they say possums eat lots of ticks, right?
Opossums eat like their body weight in ticks, or some crazy amount of ticks, like every year.
Whoa.
And
Dang.
they are like, they don't get Lyme disease.
Yeah, that's what I'd heard. They're really resistant to it.
But if you've got horses around, you definitely don't want opossums, because they carry some kind of disease that the horses can get. So
everything kills horses, man.
yeah.
Mm-hmm.
They're too expensive. That's another reason I don't want horses. Although, that's why I've always wanted a riding cow. Because, like, you could ride the cow. They're super mellow and easy to take care of. They're also cheap. Like, dude, cows, they just, like, live out in the desert. And they're fine.
Yeah,
I mean,
like-
they're skinny because it's the desert.
But like, it's not like you can like, pick the cow and be like, all right, giddy up. It's not going to go fast. It's not going to be
dude,
fun.
Fast enough to follow your trail hounds.
I don't know. Like, you can go ahead and try that first, Seth, and then I'll look into a riding cow instead of a like mule or something.
You need to check out the cattle we have out here in my experimental range. They're called a criollo, and they're like a wild breed of cattle, and they're like a hybrid between a deer.
Like the name of a group of people in Latin America.
Exactly.
When the Spaniards came over.
Yep. That's where the area of Mexico is where these cattle got wild from Spanish explorers and lived out there unattended for like 500 years, 400 years. And so these cattle are truly like wild. They're like dingoes, but cattle. And so we brought them to this experimental range. Well, they're super fast though. That's the thing. And dude, I watched one that had just had a calf the day prior. So she had like huge swinging udders, walk up to a barbed wire fence and just vault right over it. And her little calf just went under it like a dog. And I was like, well, that fence is not working at all. You know what I mean? But the point I'm trying to make is they're actually super duper athletic, but they're really not as tame. So we actually have a cow at my experimental range that's really tame. We use her for research purposes for kids. And she has like one of those holes that you can reach down into a rumen and grab all the food in there and like bring it out. It's called a cannula.
Mm-hmm.
Anyway, you can ride her. Her name's Penelope and she's my buddy. But you can ride her. And so I was like, dude, I want a riding cow. But that's neither here nor there because I'm not going to actually do it. I'll just go ride Penelope and then reach my hand. I'll just go reach my hand down into a rumen. Yeah.
Like,
which is
how's
crazy.
Your food looking today?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that's weird.
When you reach your
that's
hand in there,
stuff.
you can feel her rumen like moving around. You can feel the like little cilia reach out of her rumen and touch your arm. Yeah.
Good. I'm good.
So
Well, leave all that to the dairy
I
farmers and you people in New Mexico.
This isn't the Seth's Weird Hour of Life, but the Seth's Weird Life talk show. There's so many interesting weird things that pop into my weird brain. Charlie, you got any last thoughts, buddy?
No, it's been good to be on. You know?
Well, yeah, we're happy to have
Thanks
you,
for
buddy.
having me.
We're happy to have you. We've been talking for some time.
Yeah, what's your goal for this season coming up? I know you've got your puppies, but like, what's going to be like the most awesome thing that happens?
Probably getting my foxhound to where she'll, just start really treeing and, because she's getting to that point that I think it's just going to be a kind of a switch. I think it's just going to happen one of these days and she's going to do it by the way she's been acting. I mean, that's kind of my biggest goal is get her pretty solid, and then start really working on the little puppy.
Cool. Yeah. It'll either she'll get it or she won't, and when she does, it's gonna be a flip of the switch, and it's just gonna happen for sure.
Yeah, I think she's gonna do it. I mean, she'll start treeing with one of the last hunts we went out. I actually sent Seth a video of it. She did that whole race, with the one other dog. I mean, she struck on the track, she treed. We shot it out for her, and she, was getting on it. So I got good hopes for her.
There's a good combination happening, for sure.
Yeah. The right things are happening at the right time.
Well, and she's what, a year and a half?
Nice.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, almost a year and a half. Not even quite a year and a half. I think she's
perfect timing.
Month, but, I mean,
and now
definitely.
Your season starts in November, so you can get Coon shot out, and then it'll all come together. So that's what I'm looking forward to, is when I can, shoot them out for my pup Ridge, and really, put everything together. But my season
she's gotten really good with possums.
in less than a month. I'm like, oh, well, good luck with that. I don't even.
I'm kind of a weird hound hunter, I guess. Like, if it goes up a tree and they do it, I don't care. I mean, I'm just out there to have fun. I'm not,
totally.
If it runs up a tree and they do it, that's great. I mean, I hunt with guys that'll, shock their dogs off a possum or whatever. So, if it goes up a tree, I don't care.
Just track to tree. I mean, that's what you're caring about. Yep.
Yeah. Yep. Exactly.
Yep. I can't say I've ever treated a possum, so. Now watch, it'll happen like tomorrow night.
Right.
In North Texas, they told me it's pretty funny to put a mailbox or put a possum in somebody's mailbox. But that's the only possum experience I have. We don't have them here. They're gross, though. The first time I saw one, I was like, ugh, nasty. You wouldn't want to open your mailbox and have that looking at you. Well, all little babies are so cute.
That's true. But so we'll have we're all pretty pumped for our seasons coming up.
Oh yeah,
definitely.
Sure.
So,
well, I have all the things I wanted to talk about out. And so, Lauren, did you have any final thoughts?
No. I actually just friended Charlie on Facebook. What was it, yesterday or something like that? So now I can keep up with him. So I'm excited to see what happens.
There you go.
So
Charlie, why don't you plug your groups one more time?
Oh, yeah. So the club itself is Fern Ridge Treehound Club. And then our nonprofit is Houndsmen for Heroes. You can find them both on Facebook. And Houndsmen for Heroes, I believe there's if not, I have a link, like a donation link. Appreciate any help we can get. I mean, we really want to, especially this year, we want to get a bobcat out hunt out for our first responders or
and
our
how
vets.
long are we talking?
It's an expensive
lead
endeavor.
time on that.
We try to do it opening weekend of bobcat kill season. So that's the December 1st. We don't have a date yet, just because
generally
we're still trying to get the funding together to be able to do it. Yeah, but generally it's that first week, in December.
Okay. Well,
Sweet.
we will. Thanks for the information, and we can share that stuff as well.
Yeah, Houndsman XP
Sweet.
stands with local groups.
Great.
I want that to be known. Like we stand with our local clubs and our chapters, state
and it's
state
important
clubs and stuff.
for even someone who's hunting raccoons just on their own to join, whether it's like the Wisconsin Coon Hunters Association or whatever it is, because any little bit helps, and it's important to be a part of that community and be involved.
Definitely.
Yeah.
Well,
good chatting with
I love
both
it.
of you today.
Definitely.
Yeah.
It doesn't matter if you're up there, looking for Bigfoot, treeing coons, or 10-hour bobcat races, or if you're trying not to get your butt bit by a bear or stitching your chickens back together. You follow your hounds and I'll follow mine. Charlie, thanks again for joining us. Lauren, I love having you on. Thanks for joining me.
Yeah, I'm glad I could
until
join.
next time.
Yeah. Thanks, guys.